Okay, so looks like we're going to be talking about Reddit today. And you might be asking yourself, Ashley, why are we talking about Reddit today? What could have possibly occurred? And I'm going to be honest with you, Reddit moderation, or at least Reddit in general, has been in a very awkward, weird spot. You be finding the weirdest places of enforcement when it comes to rules. However, what ends up happening is that these rules are not exactly evenly spread. You'll find certain controversies will get certain light, but some other places are a little bit, hush hush. But looking more into it, I do actually tend to use Reddit. To be honest with you, I mean, a lot of people do use it, and it's a pretty good place for like a hub of information. For example, I literally just finished Invincible yesterday, and no spoilers in this video, but I just want to say that it was one of the best episodes of television I have seen in a long time. Like, oh my, let's just say everything was on point. Really good episode. And I actually recommend everybody should be watching Invincible right now because it is just that good. But barring that, say example, I want to look up theories about Invincible. I literally can just go on to Google, and what do you get? Oh, what's that? Reddit is a pretty common place to look this stuff up. Because taken for a fact that maybe in like an older time, you might have to look up some niche, Twitter community or some niche forum to go discuss this place, or maybe like a YouTube comment section. But Reddit's a pretty good hub world, and it kind of reminds you that there are human beings that still talk to each other online, because other places you might get AI and we talked about AI not that long ago actually. AI slop on YouTube, there's AI in bot comments, there's AI on Twitter, so you kind of feel like you're just talking to computer programs the entire time. So it's pretty much a lot to take in. However, barring that, there's something I do want to talk to you guys about, and I do want to show you guys some a previous controversy that came to Reddit, and it talked about their API changes, because this was one of the things that caused the 2023 Reddit blackout. But let's take a look into it, because like I said earlier, Reddit is not exactly the best place when it comes to public discourse, and it's always had its controversies. So looking into our first controversy, or the big one that happened not that long ago, is the API controversy. And so in April 2023, the discussion and news aggregation website Reddit announced its intention to charge for its application programming interface, API, a feature which had been free since 2008, causing a dispute. They forced multiple third-party applications to shut down and threaten accessibility and moderation tools. On May 31st, Apollo developer Christian Selig stated that Reddit's pricing would force him to cease development on the app. The resulting outcry from the Reddit community ultimately led to a planned protest from June 12th to June 14th, in which moderators for the site would make their communities private or would restrict posting, following the release of an internal memo from Reddit CEO Steve Huffman and defiance from Reddit. Some moderators continued their protest. So that's basically like the gist of what happened, but I do want to show you guys exactly what was mentioned in this post by itself, because they actually addressed it themselves. So even on r/Reddit, you had an admin, Aspez or Steve. He actually says here, addressing the community about changes to our API. So dear Redditors, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Steve, aka Uspez. I am one of the founders of Reddit, and I've been CEO since 2015. On Wednesday, I celebrated my 18th cake day, which is about 17 years and 9 months longer than I thought this project would last. To be with you here today on Reddit, even in a heated moment like this, is an honor. I want to talk to you today about what's happening within the community and frustration stemming from changes we are making to access our API. I spoke to a number of moderators on Wednesday and yesterday afternoon, and our product and community teams have had further conversation with mods as well. First, let me share the background on this topic, as well as some clarifying details on the 4th, 18th, so April 18th. We shared that we would update access to the API, including premium access for third parties who required additional capabilities and higher usage limits. Reddit needs to be a self-sustaining business, and to do that, we can no longer subsidize commercial entities that require large-scale data use. There's been a lot of confusion over what these changes mean. I want to highlight what these changes mean for moderators and developers. And so we'll go through a few of them, but I mean, I can always give you guys the post if you really want to read it yourself. But basically you have here, so terms of service was updated, so free data API, and you have premium enterprise API, third-party apps. So here says here, some apps such as Apollo, Reddit is fun, and Sync have decided this pricing doesn't work for their business and will close before pricing goes into effect. For the other apps, we will continue talking. We acknowledge that the timeline we gave was tight. We are happy to engage with folks who want to work with us. So if you're a bit confused still, essentially what this means, and I'll even keep showing you other stuff that this as well, is that essentially because Reddit was free to work with, you could basically have apps that do like auto moderation. You had apps that could massively delete like posts on Reddit. Say you posted a lot on Reddit, you want to get rid of some of them, you could do that. Or in some cases, you can add other features as well. However, because now you're being charged for it, a lot of developers said, we're pulling out and we're not going to bother doing that, because why would we want to pay for something when this used to be free? And by the way, Reddit was free since 2008, and then all of a sudden they wanted to change it so that they had to charge the API. So naturally, if you're a developer, you're going to probably say no. And just to show you how big this platform, this blackout was, I even have here the most popular subreddits participating in the blackout included r/funny, r/awe, r/gaming, r/music, r/pics, r/science, and r/today I learned. The collective user base across all of these protesting subreddits totals 2.8 billion, which includes a significant overlap of users who subscribe to multiple protesting subreddits. Users can watch subreddits go dark in real time on Twitch. Now that we have an idea of what this really did, this in the end honestly didn't accomplish anything, because when you really look at it, Reddit mods don't have a lot of power to begin with. You might have some power in your local sub communities, but on the grand scale of Reddit, there's not really lots of power. And on top of that, I do want to mention that they literally said when they were going to protest. So if Reddit CEOs saw this, they would say, well, all we have to do is just wait. We just have to wait for them to come in. And guess what happened? That's what they did. They waited. And then the changes ended up happening. So really, it showed us that moderators have basically, if I had to scale it, maybe 2% of the power on Reddit. And I feel like I'm being overly generous. So this did not accomplish anything. And of course, Reddit is moving smoothly as whatever it is now. And on top of that, some admins ended up opening up some of these Reddits anyways. So it's not like we got, a week-long outage or like a month-long. It was 2 days. 2 days of an outage. So that's what happens. And so maybe what could have made this protest more effective, looking back at it now, is that maybe instead of telling people when you're going to protest, maybe just shut it all down. Maybe that's what happened. And then don't say when you're going to shut it down. But in reality, there wasn't really much that could be done, because unless you were an admin, it was looking a bit dicey. Anyways. So, long story short, yeah, so this did not go as well as, some of these moderators had hoped. But what I do want to point to you is now, well, the meat and potatoes of this video, and that is its moderation itself. Because I want to mention that there's been this new policy that's been put up, or at least a new information that we've learned that I want to show you. And so essentially what ended up occurring is that r/Reddit Safety had posted stuff about upvoting violent content, which we'll see is going to toe the line a little bit, because it's pretty interesting. But anyway, so here it says, warning users that upvote violent content. Today we are rolling out a sort of new enforcement action across the site. Historically, the only person actioned for posting violated content was the user who posted the content. The Reddit ecosystem relies on engaged users to downvote bad content and report potentially violative content. This not only minimizes the distribution of the bad content, but it also ensures that the bad content is more likely to be removed. On the other hand, upvoting bad or violating content interferes with this system. So, starting today, users within a certain time frame upon several pieces of content banned for violating our policies will begin to receive a warning. We have done this in the past for quarantined communities and found that it did help reduce exposure to bad content, so we are experimenting with this site-wide. This will begin with users who are upvoting violent content, but we may consider expanding this into future. In addition, while this is currently warn only, we will consider adding additional actions down the road. We all know that the culture of a community is not just what gets posted, but what gets engaged with. Voting comes with responsibility. Interesting that they say voting. This will have no impact on the vast majority of users, as most already downvote or report abusive content, it is everyone's collective responsibility to ensure that our ecosystem is healthy and that there is no tolerance for abuse on the site. Let's dig in. But essentially, if you're not entirely familiar with Reddit, you can upvote a post to get more people to see it, or you can downvote it to show people that, this post is kind of terrible, or you don't agree with it. And so basically what Reddit's saying is that if you upvote something that they deem as violent, you're going to get a warning about it. So if you say, a certain nation deserved 9/11.
This is so insane. America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
Perhaps that would get you banned, or get you at least a warning if you upvoted that. So, yeah, quite a lot. And so there's even actually a post here that, that asks the question, what does it really mean to upvote and downvote a post? It's a genuine question that a lot of people are going to have, and one that I have included. So let's go to it as well. I suppose I just want to have a conversation with fellow interested people about what it objectively means to upvote or downvote a link, especially insofar as ethics or epistemiology are concerned. For example, I see a post linking to a news article which reports that Austin, Texas is the fifth drunkest city in the country. I upvoted. What does my upvote actually mean? Does it mean I like the fact that Austin is the fifth drunkest city in the US? Does it mean that I appreciate the poster having publicized the article? Does it mean that I want the article to go as high as possible such that the maximum amount of people can be exposed to disinformation? Similarly, if I downvote the post, what does that mean? That I am upset about the fact that Austin is the fifth drunkest city? That I am upset with the poster for having publicized it? That I want few people to see it? I think a question here is whether the upvote/downvote exists in relation to the actual Reddit post itself, or to the content of the post which is being publicized. I hope others are interested and that this might feel as an interesting discussion. So I don't have much to add to it, but it's just interesting how Reddit has a lot of different nuances inside of it in just clicking a button. But however, they deem if you do violent content, which, if in an ideal world, if it was done fairly, perhaps it'd be a bit more, spaced out. But in this case, it could mean a lot of different stuff. But let's go to a particular case that I really want to highlight because you guys are going to be very interested about this. So today we have our subreddit in question, r/pop culture. And now if you're wondering who is that at the top, well, guess who it is. It is none other than Luigi Mangione, who was, alleged to have, popped a healthcare CEO. And that one action alone, because healthcare is very controversial in America, that one action alone actually caused a lot of discussion around, insurance and how bad the system really is, even for somebody who came from, a wealthier background. But if you're more interested about him, I actually did a whole video on him looking through different stuff that led to that alleged moment. So that is where we are now. So yeah, but you'll be asking, so if he's the head of the if he's the head, is he a controversial figure? It's pretty interesting, right? So here's an archive post from r/pop culture is closed. Yes, about a week ago, the subreddit actually closed down for an interesting reason. And remember, we talked about warning users that upvote violent content. Just keep that in mind as I'm reading this post. So it says here, due to the Reddit admins being complete morons, this sub is now closed. They created a rule without warning that anyone upvoting a post that they deem encouraging violence will be subject to a ban. The other mod in the sub, the one who actually did everything, was suspended for upvoting an article about backlash to Trump's weird AI Instagram video. He appealed the suspicion, but they reviewed it and said no, it was correct. His account will remain suspended and there's nothing he can do about it. Upvoting an article from The Guardian newspaper is inciting violence and cause for permanent suspension. Absolutely insane. All 14,000 people who upvoted that post probably got suspended or warned. Also, this sub has been placed in restricted mode because apparently there are too many calls for violence. I like to let you guys all know that now apparently saying Luigi, very common Italian name by the way, is against the rules too, even though they never told us. All comments with the word Luigi get flagged as possible incited violence. We created this place because we wanted to be there to be a place to discuss pop culture without getting banned for something as stupid as saying you don't like Taylor Swift, which happens at the other two pop culture subs. I don't know what is going on with the subreddit admin, but I no longer want to support this website. The admins were completely useless. We reached out to them at least 5 times for clarification of a rule and some help, and not once did they even bother to get back to us, suspending people for upvoting articles that are not inciting violence or for saying the word Luigi is insane. They are putting all of the responsibility of moderating Reddit on us while doing nothing to help us, not even responding to our messages. And in case you're wondering, this post actually ended up getting edited. So that's the archive version. And so a screenshot that I have here is literally says some should remix this song, and it says Luigi in it. So imagine you happen to say your name is Luigi and you're Italian. So is Reddit just going to start, slashing out warnings and checking for violence? Which is why I'm saying that Reddit moderation is kind of insane, because is saying a name inciting violence? Upvoting an article is inciting violence? That's a question. That's an ethical question that you have to ask yourself, because now Reddit is literally going insane and losing its mind over that. And so it's kind of insane because, like, as well, there's been even like worse subreddits out there that have been like banned, which we'll look into those in a little bit. But it's just trying to rationalize it doesn't make sense. But I can break it down to maybe one particular reason. It's just that Reddit does have advertisers, they have sponsors, they have people like, using the site. So imagine you have on your website, Luigi Mangione, controversial figure. People call him a hero. People send him fan mail, all that stuff. And you have an advertiser that's trying to say, I don't know, Health Farm Insurance. And guess what? Health Farm Insurance is going to look at that like, oh, what's that on your website? So gets taken down. So that's really the best educated guess and the most logical guess that I can give you for that. But it's still stupid because there is so much worse out there on Reddit. And I'm about to show you how bad it gets because, oh boy, it gets bad. It gets ridiculously bad. I do want to mention, though, that Reddit does take down particular subreddits that are problematic, to say the least. Just because there's a lot of weird places out there. So here's some banned subreddits that I found. These are just some really quick ones, so kind of insane. But this one is called, let's just say, violating women, or at least, clapping up women, beating them up, whatever. And the next one, it says brain cells, and it actually was made after the r/incels was banned and promoted some behavior towards women. And you have another one called r/deepfakes, which is another controversial subreddit, whereas like people use an app to put actresses into prod videos. I know. And you wonder why Redditors aren't taken entirely seriously, but that exists. But now, I want to segue to a place, or at least an idea called a snark Reddit. Now, you'll be asking yourself, what is a snark Reddit? What does that mean? I don't use this app. So, essentially, a snark Reddit is a place where you can literally go and criticize a creator. It starts as criticism, but you basically turn into full-blown detractors. And detractors are people who are, basically just anti the person in the video. That's all I can say. And sometimes it ends up leading to doxing, and leads to all kinds of other nonsense. Personal information getting leaked, crazy stuff. But I do want to point to a situation with a particular snark, and it's called H3 Snark. And essentially, H3 or Ethan had a bit of a situation where he basically was going to war with some other, YouTubers, streamers, and it got so bad to the point where some people called CPS on his house. And so I actually do want to play a video about that situation, and then we'll get into the rest.
Turned into this whole snark narrative that our house is a mess, that there's dog shit everywhere, that Sunny is eating shit and getting giardia, and that, et cetera, et cetera. And it culminated in somebody finally, an anonymous call went into them on the 3rd, saying that they were somebody that works at the house, and they wanted to report us because our kids are crawling around eating dog shit and getting viruses. And they were able to provide enough details because of what I said on the show to make it appear that it was somebody. He said, like, when he first showed up, he's like, it's somebody that you know who made the report. And I'm like, no, okay. So I mean, they used. I mean, yeah, you could easily impersonate.
Sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
What's truly like despicable to me is the fact that like you hear so often that CPS, like that they're not always
They're underfunded.
Yes, and also it always like seeps through the cracks for some reason.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they were so on it here, it's like that could have gone to a family that really needed it and a child that really needed it.
So not only do we have a bunch of allegedly Redditors calling CPS on Ethan here, regardless of your opinion, I find that is genuinely unhinged. Genuinely crazy. And I already said, like, snark Reddits, even though they start off as criticizing a creator, they end up escalating into full-blown just ridiculousness. Like, when I was finding this clip, I literally found this I found this Twitter account, which is going to be blurred out because I find this person genuinely insane. But it says here, I don't understand why YouTube is still platforming Ethan Klein. Doesn't YouTube care about child safety? EDP was banned for way less. Sorry. Okay. So, oh my God. So, in case you want to know what EDP was banned for, he was banned for literally trying to meet up with an underage person. Do you know? How is that way less? I don't care if you think Ethan is like the worst commentator on the planet. It's not even the same case. So, this person is a genuine idiot. like, idiot. Oh man. And it gets worse. So you even have this person called Bad Empanada. And by the way, I have never watched this person in my life. I've heard about this person. I heard they're kind of insane. But this person actually said here, CPS has checked on Ethan Klein and Hila Klein to make sure that they are not abusing their children. Ethan Klein dedicated his podcast today to complaining that CPS checked on his kids. This checkup was entirely warranted, as Klein had previously admitted on his live stream that he let his dogs shit everywhere, and that his kids contracted a parasite previously unknown to science from the feces. I am glad that CPS checked in on these kids, given that they had openly admitted such a vile and disgusting thing on his podcast. Okay, so, this person is just legit insane. You're justifying people falsely calling CPS on somebody's house. You actually can't make it up. It's actually ridiculous. You can't make this up. Like, I genuinely do not care. And you know something? Is the fact that when you call CPS, you're calling it on people who are actually like not involved in the first place. Like, if you have beef with Ethan, beef with him, respond to him, whatever, but you're beefing with his entire family with a possibility of getting children taken away, and he's justifying this. It hurts my head, but hopefully you understand why this is genuinely baffling to me. So to me, once you start calling CPS on people, I think any criticism you have for somebody is out the window. And if you're justifying it, you're just as insane. And you wonder why I don't take political people very serious. But anyways, what does that have to do essentially? Yes, so these are the type of people that you'll find on these snark Reddits. Not saying these two in particular are on the subreddits, but you'll find people like of this caliber. And so my question to Reddit is something like, why is it not moderating places like this where people's information is getting leaked out? If it can ban other subreddits for some vile stuff, why can't this place be banned as well? Why is this not banned? I do not understand. So it's a genuine question that I have, but a question that I have to ask nonetheless, because I mean, listen, once you start bringing in people's kids, that's a line you can't really take back. So yeah, quite a lot to take in. So what will Reddit do? That's a damn good question. But anyways, if you enjoyed this type of content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow my socials on the description below. But it's crazy out here, man. Ciao, ciao.